There is immense power in the energy of quietness. Silence speeds up manifestation. The greatest power of manifestation isn't found in what you say, but in what you silently become. Welcome to Mind Elevate. Our channel has one core mission, and that is to help you rise to your higher self. The most profound transformations often happen when you stop announcing them to the world. When you stop seeking approval, when you stop diluting your energy by talking about what you want to create. There's a hidden truth about manifestation that most people miss. The more you talk about your plans, the less energy you have to actually create them. It's like a universal law that nobody teaches you. Every time you tell someone about that big dream, that healing you want, that new life you're creating, you're actually spending the very energy you need to make it happen. I've seen it thousands of times. The person who constantly talks about losing weight rarely does. The one who announces their business plans at every dinner party often stays stuck in the planning phase. But the quiet one, the one who suddenly shows up transformed, they understood something crucial. They kept their power contained. Think about electricity for a moment. If you have wires with poor insulation, what happens? The energy leaks out. It creates sparks. It weakens the current. And ultimately, it fails to power what you need it to power. Your intentions work the same way. Every time you speak about your future before it materializes, you're creating a leak in your energetic system. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't even respond to your wishes. It responds to your energetic state, who you're being right now. When you constantly talk about what you want to become, you're reinforcing that you don't have it yet. You're emphasizing the lack, the wanting, the absence, and that's exactly what you'll continue to experience. So, why do we feel this urge to tell everyone about our goals? What's really happening when we can't wait to share our latest intention? For most people, it comes down to seeking validation. We want others to approve of our direction. We want them to confirm that we're making the right choice. We want that hit of dopamine when someone says, "Wow, that sounds amazing." But that momentary good feeling comes at a steep price. When you share your vision before it's materialized, you're putting it at the mercy of other people's opinions and energy. And most people, no matter how well-meaning, are operating from their own limited beliefs. They filter your dreams through their fears, through their past experiences, through their sense of what's possible or impossible. Even supportive comments can weaken your manifestation power. Why? Because you get a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain experiences the pleasure of achievement simply by talking about it and receiving positive feedback. Studies show that announcing your goals triggers the same reward pathways as actually accomplishing them, which then reduces your motivation to do the hard work of actually creating that reality. Here's another problem with excessive talking. Every time you explain your vision, you're forced to translate a multidimensional inner knowing into limited language. You reduce your expansive possibility into a linear story that makes sense to others. And in that translation, something essential gets lost. The energy gets diminished. The clarity gets clouded. I've seen people with incredible potential never reach it because they develop the habit of talking instead of being, talking instead of doing, talking instead of becoming. They became expert describers of a future they never actually created. Now, what happens when you keep your intentions private? When you stop announcing every step of your journey? First, your energy stays contained. Think of it like a pressure cooker versus an open pot. The open pot releases steam constantly and the food takes forever to cook. But the pressure cooker traps that energy, builds intensity, and transforms the ingredients much faster. Your contained intention works the same way. It builds power rather than dissipating it. Second, you avoid the unconscious sabotage of well-meaning people. Even your closest supporters can inadvertently plant seeds of doubt. They might ask practical questions that pull you out of possibility and back into limitation. They might share cautionary tales that feed your fears. By keeping your vision protected, you keep it pure. Third, you're forced to find internal validation rather than external confirmation. This is crucial for lasting change. When you don't get those regular doses of external approval, you must learn to approve of yourself. You must find certainty within. And that's where real power comes from. Not from others thinking your path is right, but from you knowing it with unshakable clarity. This is why silent manifestation is so powerful. When you're not trying to convince others or yourself through words, you can focus entirely on aligning your inner state with your desired reality. You can do the actual work of becoming rather than just describing. Look at the most transformed people you know. Ask them about their journey, and many will tell you they didn't talk much about it while it was happening. They were too busy living it, too busy becoming it, too busy allowing the new reality to take root without constant analysis and explanation. There's a big difference between the habit of observation and the habit of declaration. Most people are stuck in declaration, constantly talking about what they want, what they're going to do, who they're going to become. But transformation happens in observation, quietly watching your internal patterns, making adjustments to your energy, and allowing new neural pathways to form without narration. When you develop the habit of observation without constant verbalization, you notice what's actually happening within you. You catch the limiting thoughts before they sabotage your progress. You feel the old emotional patterns rising up and choose different responses. You become aware of when you're aligned with your vision and when you're not. This silent awareness is far more powerful than any announcement of intentions could ever be. Because in that aware state, you can make real changes to your internal environment, the very place where manifestation begins. How do you practice this art of silent manifestation? How do you harness the power of contained energy? Start by creating clear internal pictures of what you're creating. Rather than talking about your goals, spend time each day vividly imagining them as already accomplished. Use all your senses. Feel the emotions of the accomplishment. Touch the results in your mind. Hear the sounds of that new reality. Make it so real internally that your body begins to believe it's already happening. This internal focus creates a strong energetic blueprint that's far more powerful than any verbal declaration. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your consistent energetic state. By regularly experiencing the feeling of your vision as already accomplished, you create a magnetic pull toward that reality. Next, practice observing your thoughts without judgment. Notice when you feel the urge to talk about your goals or seek validation. Instead of acting on that urge, get curious about it. Ask yourself, what am I really seeking right now? Is it approval, certainty, a feeling of progress? Then find ways to give yourself those emotional needs directly rather than looking for them externally. Another powerful practice is to redirect your talking energy into writing instead. Keep a private journal where you can process your journey without diluting its power. This gives you an outlet for expression while still keeping your energy contained where it matters most. Perhaps most importantly, focus on becoming rather than announcing. Ask yourself each morning, how would the version of me who has already achieved this goal think today? What would they focus on? How would they feel walking into a room? Then embody those qualities without explanation. Let people notice the changes in you without you having to point them out. I know someone who wanted to shift careers entirely, moving from a corporate job into creative work. Instead of announcing this intention and facing the inevitable questions and doubts from others, they quietly began living as if they were already that creative person. They adjusted their morning routine to include creative practice. They changed how they dressed slightly. They started noticing different details in their environment. Within 6 months, opportunities began appearing that matched this new identity they were silently embodying. People began treating them differently without knowing exactly why. The external reality rearranged itself to match their internal shifts, not because they declared their intention. Another person wanted healing from a long-term condition that had defined their life for years. Rather than talking about their healing journey and receiving the usual mix of advice, concern, and doubt from others, they simply began living as if wellness was their natural state. They made different choices quietly. They stopped participating in illness conversations and instead focused their energy on feeling whole in each moment. Their transformation happened so gradually yet profoundly that when people finally noticed and asked what had changed, they had difficulty explaining the process. The change wasn't found in techniques they could describe. It was in a fundamental shift in who they were being moment to moment. These stories share a common theme. Transformation happens in the quiet spaces between words, in the consistent internal shifts that no one else sees until the results become undeniable. Of course, silent manifestation doesn't mean you never take action in the external world. Quite the opposite. When you're not spending energy talking about what you'll do, you have more energy for actually doing it. When you're not seeking validation for your path, you can walk it more directly. The key is making sure your actions align with the future you're creating rather than reinforcing old patterns. Each choice either moves you toward embodying your vision or keeps you locked in previous limitations. Silent manifestors become exquisitely aware of this distinction and choose accordingly. For example, if you're manifesting financial abundance, notice how differently you might order at a restaurant. When you're silently embodying abundance versus when you're talking about wanting abundance, but still operating from scarcity, the person talking about future wealth often still chooses based on price rather than preference. The silent manifestor makes choices from their desired reality rather than their past limitations. The other challenge you'll face when practicing silent manifestation is how to respond when people notice changes in you and start asking questions. And they will notice, because real transformation has a magnetic quality to it. People are naturally drawn to authentic change. When they ask what you're doing differently, how do you answer without falling back into the trap of diffusing your energy through too much explanation? First, recognize that their questions are often reflections of something awakening in them. They sense a possibility in your transformation that speaks to their own potential. So rather than going into elaborate detail about your process, simply acknowledge the change they're noticing and return the focus to them. Yes, things have been shifting. What changes have you been noticing in your own life lately? If they press for more specific information, offer only what serves the highest good. Share principles rather than predictions, processes rather than promises. This allows you to be authentic without dispersing the energy you're cultivating. Remember, there's a difference between hiding your light and containing your energy. You don't need to pretend nothing is changing. You simply need to recognize that over-explaining your process can weaken its power. Let the results speak for themselves. Begin each morning by reconnecting with the feeling of your vision accomplished. Before engaging with the external world and its demands, take time to experience internally the reality you're creating. Feel it in your body. Let the emotions of it wash through you. This creates a strong foundation that can withstand the pull of old patterns throughout your day.